Hello, ladies and gentle sirs. This is Andrew, the producer of the Liars Club podcast. First off, we always want to say thank you for listening. Please tell your friends about it and let them know what a great show you're listening to because we would really appreciate it. Also, if you could give us a rate, a subscribe, a review, all that fun stuff on whatever app you're listening to, it would mean the world to us. We also have live episodes that we're going to be coming out with pretty shortly, so be on the lookout for that. We recorded the first one live at the Ice House in Pasadena, and it was a ton of fun, so you're in for a treat with that one. And our next episode that we are going to be recording is going to be at the Dojo of Comedy on Sunset, and that's going to be on December 19th. So be on the lookout for that. Tickets will be on sale soon. So thank you very much, and keep on listening. Bye.
Welcome to the Liars Club. This is where we take our guests, we tell them to give us the truth, give us a lie, we figure out which is which. I'm Jessica Wellington.
I'm Felicia Michaels.
And you're about to get lied to.
We have two amazing guests. I'm going to introduce our first guest. This is a gentleman that I've known since the beginning of time. Jason, seriously, I've known you for so long. We were both completely different, thirsty as fuck people back in the day, and look how we've matured into some beautiful, talented people with wonderful follow-through. I would like everyone to please give it up for Mr. Jason Stuart. Yes. Jason is doing so amazing, Jessica, because he is been in a lot of movies that have been.
We were in a movie together.
Fucking fantastic.
With
What
Ron
movie?
Jeremy.
Oh, you were.
Well, come on.
Ron
That would not
Jeremy?
have been the. That
That's
would
not
not
what
have
you
been
lead
the.
with,
He had a
Jessica.
cameo in the film, as I did.
Fuck.
You really had a part. I just had a cameo in it.
I was just a bartender for like 2
Doesn't
seconds.
matter if it's a cameo, bitch. It still counts. You're in a Ron Jeremy movie.
Well, no, he just had. I played a bad date, and he also played a bad date.
Yeah.
In the film. But we're talking about more legitimate films. It's called Open, and it's a very funny comedy.
Oh,
But
nice.
you're talking about Birth of a Nation and things
Birth
like
of
that.
a Nation. You
Yeah.
were wonderful in that.
I play a white heterosexual Christian plantation owner in 1831.
Yes. What took you so long?
It's called acting. Yes, it's because apparently I lived in cave time.
Yeah. No, I was so happy when I saw that you were in that. Would you like to introduce our wonderful second guest, Jessica?
Yes, this next guest I love her to death. We go back to the end of time.
Like
a month ago.
Yeah, exactly. And she's the writer on the new game show that's out. What was the name of the game show?
Funny you can't find
Funny
us. No, it's
You
called Funny
Should
You Should
Ask.
Ask. Funny You Should Ask. God.
Oh, is this with Lisa Alvarado as a writer on that?
Yeah.
Oh, a bunch of people are on
Yeah,
that.
a
Wonderful.
lot of comedians
Wonderful.
are a writer on the
Louis
show.
Anderson is on that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Louis
Yeah,
on
yeah.
it. I'm one of the producers now. So
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I write and produce.
Good for
and,
you, Shawn.
Oh, you know what? It's all happening, Felicia. I mean, it really. I mean, I don't mean to brag. It's where can you find the game show? Ask me.
Where can you find the game show?
Game Show Channel?
No,
No.
no.
That would seem like the
Way to ruin it,
No.
Jason.
No,
Oh.
it's a syndicated Byron Allen show. Maybe you can, if you can afford DirecTV, you can find it on stations there, maybe comedy.tv. I think you can find it on KCAL 9 here in Los Angeles at 12:30
No, I've
a.m.
actually seen
I
it.
said it.
I've actually seen
I've
it.
said
at
it. So
have I.
night.
Yes, so
yeah,
have I.
yeah.
Oh, good, because most people are like, I really tried hard to find it, but and then they just gave up.
Aw.
So,
it's
but
so
it's a
funny.
great show.
Yeah,
it's funny.
It's a fun show.
And she just had an album drop. So that's important too.
I sound like a rapper. I have actually a 1-hour comedy special out that you can watch. So
Sounds
and an,
cool
and
if
an
you said
album
you
as
just
well.
dropped
So
it.
yeah, that's on Amazon right now and
Oh,
iTunes
wonderful.
and on demand and wherever, like Xbox if you're 12, and that you can find it many platforms. It's
Please
there you
welcome Miss
go.
Shawn Pelofsky.
Thank you very
Yes,
much,
yes.
Jessica. Thank you, Felicia.
Well, we're so glad that you guys could join us. Let's just jump into it. So what we do is we invite two of our comedy pals. They come on. They tell two stories. One is the truth and one is a lie. And Jessica and I will try to figure out which one is a lie. I want to warn you up front. She gets a little aggressive. Jessica will get aggressive.
I'm just
with
trying to
some
get to the
questions.
truth.
I
Yes.
can't believe that
Yes.
at all.
Yes, you don't know, Shawn. You don't know she's so aggressive.
But she's
Everyone
got like her
thinks she's just a
doggy,
love bug,
her
but it's
doggy
not
poo
true.
bags around her neck. Like
Oh, yeah.
you're a
Took
sensitive
them off for
woman.
the show.
Yeah,
Doggy what?
she carries
my
these
dog poop bags right
yeah,
there.
keep
Oh.
showing
Yeah.
us, yes, as
Yeah.
jewelry. That's her jewelry.
That's her
is-
keys, but connected to her house keys is the convenient dog poop bag,
Right.
just in case you're in a rush. Got to get to your car, but then maybe you need your doggy poop bags
I'm
as
so
well.
uncomfortable now. I don't know what to say.
Well, here, let's start it off. So we're going to ask our two friends that tell
Okay.
two stories. One is the truth and one is a lie. Who would like to go first?
Either or.
Ladies first.
I'm really good
So
at
is
lying.
Jason?
So yeah. Da-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
So 25 years ago, I came out on the Geraldo show, and nothing has changed since then.
You came out on the Raldo
Yeah,
show?
this is my 25th anniversary.
Re-
yeah.
Today?
Not today, but this year.
Holy shit.
Was that before or
Wow.
after he opened the tombs?
Oh, that was after. His
Okay.
show was really popular.
Yeah,
at the
Okay.
time.
it was.
Yeah.
That's why we did the show, honestly, because of that reason. Because he did the tombs, and he also did when he what did he do? With the KKK hit him on the head with a chair. Remember? That was
Oh,
also
shit,
really big.
yeah.
So I went on right after that. In that, around
You
that
waited
time.
till the KKK left, right?
Oh,
Before you
well,
came
yeah.
out. You were
Yeah.
like, maybe you guys
I
should
figured,
go.
you know, being a Jew and coming out as gay probably wouldn't be my best move.
And you're like, meet my black boyfriend.
Right.
Mer, mer, mer.
My boyfriend's black, and I'm gonna be in trouble.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. I didn't
amazing.
know that about you. And I know Jason for a long time. I didn't know you came out on the Geraldo
Came
show.
out on the Geraldo 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and
I
was
remember
also
when Jason had Jessica's haircut.
very similar.
You did?
Yeah, he
I
had
had.
a
Oh,
faux
you can
hawk
see.
or
I
mohawk or
had. I
something.
had spiked up hair. I'd spike up my hair. I wore leopard pants and
You
a
get me,
zebra
Shawn.
jacket,
You're
and
the
I
only
danced in a
one.
circle because I didn't want anybody to know I was gay.
No.
Well, people didn't
Good
know
thing you kept
Jason.
it under
Do
wraps.
people not know you were gay?
I don't know.
I mean,
what
like Helen Keller
se-
could tell you were
seriously?
gay. Like, I hear
seriously,
you.
seriously, or jokingly.
Seriously.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I'll
honestly.
I'll answer.
I have no
we
idea.
knew.
Yeah.
We
No,
knew.
I have no idea because in my mind, just as a person, we have to talk about this. This is where
Yeah,
the
this
age
is
thing
an
happens.
80s thing.
The 80s, no one was out. I mean, like I said on the wall there, I'm in the closeted gay section on the wall here at the Comedy Store. I mean, everybody, and some of them are still in the closet.
They're all bottoms on that wall,
Yeah.
by the way.
Do we really have a
How
gay
do you
section?
know that?
I know.
Your
I know,
picture's right
Jason.
there, Jessica. knows.
I know
That makes me
everything.
so uncomfortable.
I
You have
know
no idea. Were you
everything gay.
watching? Was there?
I just know,
Is there-
baby.
is-
It's okay.
That's
Yeah,
all.
we're all good
Yeah,
here.
I don't know how to deal with that.
No, to see the person that Jason has become, and Jason was always a very nice gentleman and always did his job and a great guy. But to see the person that you have become now,
You
is-
say that a lot.
I
Can
know,
I ask you
because
why you
because-
really? Because
because you had so much energy back in the day, and you were so, because we had spoke about this before, you were so worried about how everyone felt about you, and you could just tell I have a son who is very ADHD, and I'm being completely serious, and you were just so like smushed down with everything of who you really were.
I was frightened.
It
All
was
the time.
Yeah, that it was very flamboyant. It amplified it instead of squashed it, but people could tell. You can tell as a comedian
Oh,
around other
sure.
comedians when everyone's young, especially as you get older and you see younger people, you're just like, oh, that motherfucker the lid needs to pop off. And for you, that's what happened. And you were so full of energy and so wanting people's attention because you were so afraid. And it was a very sweet thing at the same time, where it was.
Sounds sad.
No, I don't think so at all.
So
Someone
right,
hand me a
can I-
tissue.
can I
I'm
just
crying
say- can I
as
just
as
say
we
something?
listen
no,
to
we're
this.
not allowed to be real.
Yeah, we are.
I'm
No, we
being
are. Of course,
completely
we are.
real.
In
Fuck
this
you,
room,
Shawn.
in May of 1983, in this room and on that stage, I followed Damon Wayans and auditioned at this store. That's 35 years ago in this room.
Holy shit.
It was the first time I ever did comedy, and I.
You auditioned the first.
Yeah,
After
I did.
Damon
I did.
Wayans?
Yeah, Damon Wayans was also auditioning. Also,
wow.
we were both auditioning that night. He got in as a regular, and I got in as a non-paid.
Can I ask you then, what
Showcasing
made
regular.
you? What? I mean, obviously it worked out for
Please.
you, but what was in your mind that you were like, I am going to audition for my very first time on stage. I'm going to audition.
You're
for the
acting
Comedy
like
Store.
I wanted to be a comedian.
Oh, you didn't.
I never wanted to be a comedian, never thought about it. It was too frightening to me. The idea of going on stage by yourself, being yourself, talking out loud in front of people, the idea of people actually not being able to hide behind a character was so frightening to me. I used to talk this is what she's talking about.
Yeah,
I would
it
talk
was,
so
yeah.
fast. I was so afraid.
He's very loud. And to
just-
see you become the person you are today.
Yeah.
And I think about, because I have a niece, and my niece was super goth. And she was like couch surfing and all that. And she would wear some pretty like fucking Frankenstein kind of shit and do weird stuff to herself. And then she
It's to keep
started
Did
to
you
go.
say ska or super ga?
Emo, right?
Yeah,
You said?
yeah.
Or goth.
Goth.
Oh,
yeah,
goth. I heard
yeah.
super ga, and I was like, is she a
Super
YouTube
goth.
star? Like,
No.
okay.
Super goth.
Goth.
Well, you know
goth,
what it
goth.
is? It's the same thing Liberace's did. It's the same thing Prince did. It's the same thing Michael Jackson did. It's the
I
same
honestly
thing.
didn't know
all
Liberace
these-
was gay. I mean, now in
Well-
retrospect,
Are you kidding?
no. I
Listen,
saw that documentary.
Jessica.
Oh, now
You
now
didn't
I do
know.
need a tissue.
That was the only thing.
Well, wait a second. Let's
I mean,
tell
like
everybody
a
how.
cock would fly out of his mouth when he would speak. Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding.
Liberace is, and I always will say
Well,
to
he's been
someone,
dead so
they're like,
long,
I think
and she's
he's
so
gay,
young.
and I'm like, is he gayer than Liberace? That is the gay. It went Liberace, Richard Simmons, like those were the top. Like if you were gayer than Liberace, there was that was the
See,
ceiling.
you're acting like she doesn't get it. She doesn't get it because she lives in a different time. She
Well-
doesn't understand. The reason you're asking these questions, and it's totally great, and I sort of love that you don't know this in a way, because you don't have to go through that pain of knowing this, and I'm sure you have gay friends,
Yeah.
and going through this pain of it. You're so, you know what, I sort of do it in the sense that I grew up under a doormat. You know, like if a plant would grow up under a doormat, you would grow around it, the weeds would go up, you'd be in
Right.
the dirt, and you'd try to grow, and you'd go on the sides, and we'd wet and damp, and then you go through it, you go on this side, and then people say, why are you in the closet? This is what the closet is. You open the door, you're in the closet, you're standing on the shoes, there's hat boxes and shit in the way. Once in a while, somebody opens the door, turns on the light, moves the leather jacket that you're standing in front of, shines a light in your eye, and slams the door shut and walks out, and that's how you make all your decisions. So when she asks me these questions, it's like I think to her myself, I come from a place of someone who didn't have any answers. I had nobody.
Right,
like,
but what
everything is done like this. Everything is looking like this. You don't really get to see clearly. That's why I was so. She really describes it as I was like squished into this box.
You were so squished, and it only worked to amplify whatever was going on with you. And the reason I brought up my niece, and this is just not even the gay thing. That's
It's
in a
anybody
different.
who's different
It's
in that
anybody
way.
because my niece, as she started to do well, she went to the Valley College, the worst fucking college system in Los Angeles, the community college, and she's now free ride at Berkeley. And as she lifted herself up and got more confident and more comfortable with herself, even though she's still a little bit goth, some of it has fallen away because some of it is her embracing herself. And like when I think of you and you had the mohawk and the crazy leather jacket and all the strangey things
Well,
that you had going on.
A silver lame jacket and a purple lame jacket,
Right.
a tiger jacket, a
Yes,
leopard
it was-
jacket.
it
Now,
was
if you
insanity.
saw a guy in a silver lame jacket, Jessica.
But I think this is my insecurities coming out because forever it took me to be able to be myself and say that it was okay to be how I am. Because I'm not gay, but I like gay things, I guess you would say, or I like the way I look, and I like to do certain
Well, I think you
things.
just have a look that women like. You know what I mean? Lesbian
Right.
women like, but yet there are straight women that look like you.
But it was hard for me to like say that I like country music, but I also like
There's
rap
nothing
and-
wrong with that.
and metal. It's
Love
it's just like finding yourself and being okay with who you are. I thought I had to be in a certain
You're in
box.
Los Angeles. You're in the right place.
Right. Having my dad raise me something, and I need to
Oh yeah.
have what he sees. I need to be that.
Right.
I feel like I don't need therapy anymore. That I could just sit here,
I know. Okay.
lean back.
Well, then
and
get
like,
to your story. Let's just
Sorry.
jump right into it. No, it's
We
a
got
great
deep.
it's a great conversation, and I'm so proud to know
Aw,
Jason and also
Aww.
and Shawn.
I adore her
and-
too because I'll
Yeah.
just say before we go on, she had this really high squeaky voice.
Yeah, I did it too with my like, hi everybody, I'm Felicia Lake. And here's something I thought of accidentally.
You
When
know,
I did
and she would do
comedy in
the
the
she would do the
80s.
filthiest, dirtiest comedy ever. And she had this high voice, and she was
You ever notice when you're sucking a guy's dick? I did all that.
and
Yeah.
she was absolutely beautiful. And in those days, in the 80s, there were no women that were
No
that.
one's saying, hey,
not-
you ever
not
notice
that
when you're sucking
beautiful.
a guy's dick?
And she would come on stage, and then she won Star Search, and we all had to
Oh,
just
I
My
remember
3
that.
minutes of clean
And we all-
material. She
no,
brings it up all fucking
and we all
time.
had to shut the fuck up because she actually, she legitimized what she was doing.
I literally
Did she
only
do her sucking dick?
No, I
No.
had
for
literally
Star
Gotta
like
be
5
clean on
minutes
Star
of
Search.
clean
Oh, you did it?
material.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, you'd
I
only have to
literally
do
I
a
was
minute.
barely
five-
bored
yeah.
then, so I don't
You only
remember.
had to do it's just like America's Got Talent. You only had to do like 1 or 2 minutes on the show.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was very
so each
quick.
very very fast.
I was
sets.
so dirty. All the older comics were like, "Hey, you might want to borrow some jokes," and I was like, "Really? You let me borrow your jokes?"
People
and then
really,
I was like,
yeah.
"I can't do that. They'll drum me out of the business."
Yeah.
But there was this moment where I was like, "Yeah."
But
All
I
right,
ju-
let's get to her story though. We got to get to her
Okay.
story.
So it's me first.
You first.
You go first.
Okay. Okay. Well, I have 2 stories. My first one is I've been overseas entertaining the troops for a long time. I've actually done some troop entertaining with Felisa over here. We went to.
You make it sound dirty, but go
Huh,
ahead.
well,
Ah.
I
done
mean,
some
I
troop
did that. I
entertaining.
did that too. I did that too. Those were the good old days.
You're a married- you're-
let me reminisce. All
You're
right,
a
I'm
married
back.
lady now, though. You're a Sadie, so you can't.
Yeah. So this was a time where I believe it was my first time over in Afghanistan, and I was with Pete. Why am I blanking on his name? Pete.
Help us out.
gosh,
Things that sound
Pete.
like I'll take the car.
He
I'll
broke
take the
his
car.
back here at the anyways, Pete and I go to Afghanistan together, and
I know someone that
Pete-
jumped off.
he
but I
had
know someone
broken
that
his
broke her
back like here at the Comedy Store or whatever. So he brought me over to Afghanistan, and I remember the first base we land at was a forward operating base. So it was a base that wasn't close to anything, not like when you go to Kandahar or Bagram. Those are the big like NATO bases. So we went to this little base, and the Special Forces, they take us to the Special Forces compound.
How lucky were you?
Right.
The special forces. Mm.
So they took us to the Special
I'd like
Forces
to go, too.
compound, and it's all these like hot guys with like terrorist beards just staring at you because they got to grow the beards to
Right.
blend in. And they pull us in a room, and
Wow.
they're just like staring at us. And Pete and I kind of look at each other, and we're like, "Oh God!" We're like, "What do we do?" And they said, "Would you guys like to shoot some shit?"
You said hell yes,
I
right?
said, "Of course." Well, I don't know. What do you do with like cold-blooded killers? We shoot some shit.
Have you ever shot a gun before?
At that time, I don't think I had.
Oh, so you just went to go great.
Yeah. So we go up to their roof of their compound. It's really cold outside. And so it's like something like maybe about like 15, 20 degrees. And they pull out like this mortar missile and they shoot it off.
Right.
And then they turn to me and they said, "Would you like to shoot this?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm all like, I've got coats on and I've got my gloves on, whatever. And they said, "Okay, so you're gonna just pull this lever and then shoot this missile, and it's gonna shoot out there." And I said, "Okay, fine." I saw what they did. I'm like, I'm so like, how cool is this? And I'm gonna acclimate with all these guys here. So I go to push the lever, and because it was
Did
so
you ever
cold-
ask what you were shooting at?
No, I mean, I don't know if I killed people
That's what I would
that
be
day.
afraid of. Yeah.
Jess, I don't know. These are things that
Jesus.
I regret. I shot out of a Black Hawk. There are many things I did, and I'm not quite sure. There were people just lying dead at the end of that. I'm not quite sure what. But
You know I was in the military, right?
I do know that. So
I worked ammo.
okay. So
Okay.
then maybe I should have asked what I'm shooting at. I mean,
No.
it looked pretty clear. It was the day.
Right. So you saw where it was landing.
Jesus.
I thought I did. It looked like it landed nowhere.
Was
But
it
could have
out in
been
a
like
field?
20, a family
or,
of 20.
Or was it at buildings or out in a field?
I mean, it's all in the desert.
Okay.
Like you're in the middle of nowhere.
Because I've been to forward operating bases where they were in little
Mm-hmm.
towns, and like one was this was in Iraq, and one was in like a elementary school
Mhm.
that went in a circle. So so they took over the whole elementary school.
No, there was nothing around. It
Yeah.
was just like the base, the compound, and the compound, the Special Forces compound was a little bit further away. They're the one, you know. So I get up there, I get on the top. I'm gonna pull this lever. I'm gonna shoot off a missile. I'm gonna look cool. And what I did is, because it was so cold outside and I had my gloves on, I pushed the lever. But what I did was adjusted the barrel of the missile.
You yanked it.
I yanked the whole thing. The missile aimed straight up. And I'm pushing the lever back.
What goes up must come down.
I'm not concentrating. I'm just like trying to like show these guys I'm not afraid to shoot shit.
Right.
Whether it's a family of 20 Afghanis, I'm not quite sure now that you make me think about this. And Yom Kippur is like a ways away, so now I can't even repent about it. And I'm going to be going, and so
that's frightening.
I pushed this thing, the whole barrel of the missile aimed straight up. And about 20 Special Forces guys jumped on me, and I heard them scream, "She's going to kill us." And they jumped on me in time as I was pulling the lever. And so it didn't go, because they said we would have had like 30 seconds to run. And then I just like, maybe that would have been the moment I made it to Time Magazine. I would have been, not for me going over there to editate, but killing the troops.
Once again, a comic fucking it up for other comics.
You're welcome.
Now we can't shoot
mortars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of fucking Shawn Pelofsky.
Never hand a mortar missile to a Jewish lady with giant tits.
And is that what the troops call it now? Hey, don't Pelofsky that.
Yeah. I'm sure.
So every time any of us go there to do a show, we have to hear the whole story.
Yeah. I was killed 30 of our bravest men.
That's a good opener. That's a good opening story. Wow.
Yeah.
I could see something like that happen because I know when I went to Iraq and we were getting off of Black Hawk, they tell you which way to walk so you don't get your head chopped off. And I had a general who, because when you're flying from in those Black Hops, hopping from one forward operating base or base from another, they make a bunch of people get on as much as possible.
Yeah.
To go from each, so it's not a waste.
Yeah.
And a general grabbed me by the back of my jacket and and I was like, what the fuck? And it was like, I got my head chopped off.
Right.
I was going to say, was he hot at least?
When someone is pulling you away from getting your head chopped off, the sexiest person.
Yeah.
Well, I do believe that she went to Afghanistan.
I do believe
she entertained the troops. I don't know if I believe her Wile E. Coyote story.
I have to hear.
That is
Am I
a Wile E.
allowed to go in?
Coyote
Am I allowed to
story.
be in on this?
Yeah, sure,
I don't know if I believe the story yet, too, but I have to hear the other story.
Yeah.
And that's how you can really tell.
All right, now it's your turn, Jason.
Okay. So, Shawn, you were saying you don't know a lot about me. You thought you knew me really well, right?
Did I say that?
You said I've known you for years, and I never knew this about you. That you
came out on the Geraldo
Geraldo
story.
show.
Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. I've been in the business over 40 years now, and I started as an actor when I was very young. I started acting when I was 8 or 9, and I started doing school plays and all kind of things, and I wanted to be in the show business really, really bad. And I would ask my dad and my mom.
Is this your story?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And this is my story.
No, I thought maybe you were just discussing.
Oh, no. Just because it leads into
yeah.
what you were saying. It's so true. And I've had a really long, varied career. And I started as an actor. That's why you say, did I ever want to be a comedian? No. I thought, how weird is that?
Right.
It wasn't a thing then in the 80s. It wasn't a thing to be a comedian.
It wasn't?
No, not really. This
Not
place
for the
was-
majority of...
No. And not everybody thought they could do it like
Not
they
for
do
you
now.
damn dirty actors.
No. Everybody thought
And
they
now
could.
every actor wants to be a fucking
Everybody
comedian.
thinks they can
Oh,
do
shit.
it.
Even
In those
John
days.
Mayer shows up.
I know.
Like, can you just stick to your fucking music, dude? You're not famous enough.
He's
That's
so
how I feel like
You don't
when
have
I
enough
see Mary
poo-tang that
McKibben.
you got to get
It's
up
like,
there
really,
and
dude?
tell some jokes, man. Like, you're
Speaking of
killing
this
me.
guy.
Well, so I was acting, and I had gotten a part. The first thing I ever did was a movie called They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And it was made in 1969.
Remember that
It was
movie.
Sidney Pollack's first movie, and it was a small, tiny little part. It was only 3 scenes.
You were in that movie?
Oh, yeah.
How old were
3
you?
scenes?
I was 10.
You were
Oh, you
10?
It's how I
You
got
were
my
in that movie?
It's how I got my SAG card.
Oh, wow. No, that's like a famous movie.
Yeah, but it's not a film that people remember. Jane
That's a
Fonda's
famous
first
movie.
Oscar nomination, and I play this kid that holds the gun. And I was so young, I can barely honestly remember working with all those people because I didn't even know who Jane Fonda was. I didn't know enough. I knew because she was a movie star, and I wasn't allowed to go to the movies that much by myself then because I did the movie when I was 9. And this is a big Oscar-nominated film, and I got nominated, and I didn't win, and I lost to Gay Young, who won his first and only Oscar also. And
You got nominated.
Best Supporting Actor, 1969. Yeah. And I know it's weird. Nobody ever cares about it because I was so young, and Tatum O'Neal was the youngest person. I think she was 8, and I was 9. So no one ever talks about it, and I never. It's
Nominated for an Oscar.
because I cry. And I know.
Look who's getting greely.
No, I mean it's an odd thing. It's on everywhere. It's on everything. I have a picture with the young Oscar because I tried to buy it. I tried to buy his Oscar. I have a picture with it.
Did you get a plaque?
You don't get a plaque. You get a piece of paper in those days. It's not like nobody. It wasn't a big deal then, as it is now. You just get this thing that was on a piece of paper and it was framed in a thing, and it's on my wall.
It was on TV, right? The
saw it.
Oscars were on TV.
Yeah.
So you were at the Oscars as a 10-year-old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
It's awesome.
But it was.
I believe it. I believe everything. Though. Do you know what I mean? I believe everything. It was so long ago.
How many lines did you have?
I was in 3 scenes. I cry in the scene. That's for the reason.
What did you cry about in that scene?
When she goes to shoot, I tell her not to shoot herself, and she, they shoot horses, don't they? She shoots it. She has Michael Sarrazin kill herself, and when she first walks out, I'm the kid that's standing there. And it takes place in the 1930s. The whole thing about those dances. They used to have those dance halls, and and if you see in the film, I'm in another scene with Red Buttons, who I didn't even know who the fuck he was.
You were in a scene with Red fucking Buttons.
He had no idea. He had no idea.
How can I know you for this fucking long and not know that, then, Jason?
You want to know other things? I can tell you some other things too. You don't know.
No.
He cleaned Liza Minnelli's house. I know it. Just say it, Jason.
You
Let's
cleaned
just
Liza
get
Minnelli's
to
I
it.
would have loved to. I never met her, honestly. But I
neither.
Yeah, I've met Barbara Streisand twice.
All right.
Now you just said twice and held up 3 fingers.
Yeah.
Well, because the third time she was on this, she was standing on.
That's a lie.
You've
There's the
awoken
lie.
Andrew.
Because it's not really. I didn't really meet her. She was. On
You were in
this-
her bushes.
She was on the street. No, I was in my car, and I was listening to Yentl on my tape deck in the car, and she was in front of one of those decorator shops on Melrose with Marilyn and Alan Bergman. I think it was Marilyn Bergman. I don't know if they were both there, but Marilyn Bergman was there, and she was there. And I went, "Oh, I'm listening to you on the radio," and she goes, "Oh, thanks," and she goes like this, and that was it. So that wasn't really, I was introduced to her at the Grammys one year.
I know, but we're talking about your story now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wow, that's that. Well, you know what? Okay.
It's
all right.
I didn't win, and I was a kid, and I really didn't. It was just a very big movie. It was Sidney Pollack's first movie, and it was also nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, everything. So I was one of many people.
Well, you look very apprehensive.
I don't know. I just can't believe I wouldn't know that after knowing you for so long.
There's a lot of things you don't know. Honestly.
Yeah, right.
I mean, seriously.
But we do know he's a bottom. We established that.
Me? You really want to know the truth?
You're not.
I would like to be, honestly,
Yeah.
but it just isn't my. I'm not who
Well,
you.
you can anal douche.
I'm
I mean,
not- I'm
we've
not-
all been there. We've
I
all
lo-
like.
No,
You can do it. We'll help you.
I don't want a woman near me when I'm having sex. I don't want you in the room or looking in or taking
You want me to be
notes.
like just a little to the left.
No.
Relax. Have
No.
another glass of
The
Chardonnay.
minute you come
No.
in, everything goes
Having
like
your
this.
voice, relax.
That's really going to help my sex.
More
life.
poppers, Jason. More poppers.
I don't need a coach.
Speaking of
Let
Liberace.
me just share something with you. So this is the part that straight girls don't know, especially the ones that are like her. When we are in a room, when you are there, everything changes. You gals don't understand. The minute you guys go, everything completely changes. And all the girl stuff, all that stuff that you think that we are, it leaves. Those guys, it just doesn't happen. The guys become men, and everyone's talking like this, and sex is really serious. To straight people, sex is funny. Straight girls love laughing and having fun and flowers.
Oh
and
man, when someone goes down on me and right as I'm about to come, I fucking laugh so hard. You mean like that?
Well, no, you guys have these,
I actually.
it's love, soft as an easy chair for you
I
guys.
pull out a rubber chicken right before.
Oh,
But for us,
Fucking
it's, I
woman
don't think,
after
I
my
think
own
it's
heart.
different.
No, it's not. It's not laughing, and it's not.
It isn't?
No,
Girls
we're
don't have
fucking animals.
Are
yeah,
you?
Especially
yeah,
Jessica.
yeah.
She's
Yeah,
just.
when I come, it's waka waka.
See, but do you notice that guys don't jump? Waka waka.
Waka waka.
From the
What is it?
Muppets.
I need
What
you
does
to,
that mean?
I need you to describe that a little bit more, Jessica. I want to understand
Muppets.
what Waka Waka is.
that.
Has anybody
Waka
hurt
waka.
themselves with this? Is this?
Oh no!
Do they
I
come
mean,
off?
I've had sex in a while. We can't go down that train. But, no, I mean,
Maybe you should take those out, and you will.
I don't think that.
No.
You're adorable.
I don't
I
think
am.
that those are a deal killer.
No.
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 I would be
That's
afraid.
I don't have those, and I can't get laid
No,
lately.
no.
Oh, honey, I can get you
Oh, my
laid in
God.
20 minutes.
All right, so Shawn's second story.
Off that.
Well, okay. I have this incredible. Okay, we all know I'm kind of like I'm an alarmist, and I'm fearful. I'm kind of a pessimist, a little bit, but I'm fearful of a lot of things. But one of my biggest fears is clowns. They
Really?
freak me out to no end. And now it's not an original fear. There are
No.
many.
There are a lot of people that
People,
have clown fears.
Like you would have to like roofie me, gag, buy me, get me to see like the movie It. That's my
Why does
terror.
it scare you?
Why does it scare me? Because they're terrifying. I mean, you don't find like not only are clowns like just they're creepy with their makeup, you don't know what's under it, but like put them in a sewer, then it's like two
Well,
types
yeah,
of terrifying.
that's definitely. But just a clown by itself, I've never understood
but
that.
a clown
I've always
bite,
thought they
but I'll
were
tell
John
you, but I
Gacy.
have
John Gacy.
Yes,
Was he a
yes,
clown?
but
He
I
was a-
have
he did children's
did.
party as a clown.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
he did. But did he kill any kids?
Not
Killed
at the
a
party.
bunch of teenagers.
But not at
Yeah.
the party.
Wait, none of the 9 or 8 year olds.
that's what but this is what leads me to my story, you guys.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm not just like scared of clowns, but when I was little and I grew up in Oklahoma, we had this clown that everybody loved, Tippy the clown, and Tippy the fucking clown he would go around to the houses and everybody knew because it was just kind of small area. And everybody hired this clown for their birthday parties. He was always there for my brothers, my sisters' birthday parties. And I did not fucking like him. And I knew something. And he had this weird, like, half-moon crescent tear. It wasn't just a fucking tear. It was like a half-moon crescent. And there was something about him that I knew when I was young that clowns freaked me out. And one time I saw, I was maybe like 6 or 7 years old. I was young. But I remember seeing, like, when he was packing his bag, I saw, like, a fucking knife. Now, not like between, like, a machete and not like a butter knife, but like a big-ass knife. And I thought to myself, why is this clown carrying a knife? I told my parents.
Them 8-year-olds are fucking aggressive.
Yes. They did not believe me. Not only that, they had Tippy over once for fucking Hanukkah. Now, we were, like, the only people who celebrated Hanukkah in Oklahoma.
So
And
Tippy
came-
was a Jewish guy?
No.
Oh.
No, but
They
he would
just
come
liked
over.
Tippy?
They had him over to like show him what Hanukkah was about, and Tippy would come over, and he came in the makeup. I never saw Tippy out of makeup.
Oh, that's
Probably, but like
weird.
a
Yeah, that's
like
weird.
like a 50.
But then if you're a kid, he probably doesn't want you to.
yeah, well, my
He
brothers
doesn't
and
wanna
sisters
ruin the
liked him.
illusion.
Yeah, ruin the illusion.
They loved him. Cut to was probably about when I was 11. The Oklahoma has the state fair every year. Do you remember the state fair? There's a state fair that they
Every
have every year,
September.
and you get out of school
Mm-hmm.
for this state fair
We
every
didn't
year.
have that in Los
Like
Angeles.
on a Monday. You had
We
Monday
don't-
off to get out
No,
for the state
we
fair.
didn't have. We weren't allowed to get off for school for anything.
Yeah, this is
I'd get shot in order to get off of school. My mother didn't want me home
Oklahoma,
because
it was
she was
about-
having an affair with a butcher, and then she couldn't. Yeah, that's why we got a lot of free meat. Go ahead.
yeah, no. So you could get off for the school fair, and or for the state fair. So
Different kind of Jews.
one year, the state fair, and it came on the news. 2 girls were missing. They were 13 years old. They went to the state fair, and then they weren't seen again.
And Tippy knew them.
Fucking Tippy was the fucking killer. So I am not wrong, and this is why I do not trust clowns.
Tippy the
Okay.
clown
Wow.
killed 2 13-year-olds. Do they know if he killed anybody else?
Did he get charged with the crime?
He had him in his trunk.
Did you have a charge?
They
of
found him in Mexico. I shit you not. He got the death
So
penalty.
you know for sure? Oh, he did. Okay.
Tippy the clown got the death penalty.
Tippy the clown got the death penalty.
Well, I
I
think you're
remember as-
judging other clowns
Well,
badly
why wouldn't
because
I?
of this.
Well, I mean,
I think you're a.
I get it,
You're,
but
you're,
like I
you're
have,
a colorist.
but I'm
'cause
just
you don't like
not
the
afraid
color.
of clowns. Like I have a real reason
Right.
to be afraid.
Well, no,
No,
I
I
don't
think
think so.
when
It's
you-
one
And I was
fucking
right.
clown.
As a kid.
One bad clown doesn't ruin all the other clowns.
But he was at her house.
But as a kid, maybe I
house.
could have stopped this.
Well,
if
you
my
don't like
parents
color.
had
That's
listened
what this is
Right.
about.
about
You
Tippy.
know what?
She doesn't like the color.
Answer's makeup.
I might have to believe you on this because when I was growing up in the town of Fountain, Colorado, there was this place called the Red Barn, and it was like a 7-Eleven. And so my mom would always send me there with food
Are you from
stamps.
Oklahoma too?
No, this is in Colorado.
Oh, thank God.
So my mom would always
Bet many.
send me to the Red Barn, and I always got a creepy feeling, and I would tell my mom, no, that guy is really creepy at the Red Barn. And it was like one of those places where they had like gas station too, so you could get gas too,
Yeah.
right? But it's in a teeny tiny town. And sure enough, 2 girls from out of town or were going through town pulled over to get gas, and one went in, and she never came out. And then the other one, no, I'm totally serious. The other one
Oh,
went
I'm
in
sorry.
and was looking for her.
Sounds like a horror film.
No.
Someone came in, she never came out.
No, she never came out. And then, because this is the middle of nowhere, and then that girl called the police, and the police came, and they searched the whole thing, and then they were about to leave, and then someone found like a trap door, and they went in.
In the
and
Red Barn?
Yes.
At the Red Barn, and in the basement, she was the girl still. She was alive, but she was naked. And what the guy did, oh my God, you guys! What the guy did is he tied her up,
Oh no.
and
I don't know
he
if
got
we-
her naked.
Yeah,
no,
let's not today. Yeah, let's-
no,
I don't want this.
and all he did was
Oh.
liquor all over
What?
her body.
With
and
what?
he didn't get arrested. You know why?
He didn't get arrested.
Yeah, you know
Because
why?
licking is okay.
Because he had a liquor license.
So that's not true.
God,
stupid
man, you
bitch.
had
None of that's true.
that was really good. You had me. I was like, what?
Because he had liquor license.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's why Tippy always kept his
No,
makeup
but
on or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, that's
because-
creepy. That's
Make
creepy.
it
But
Edit
I'm
this
pretty
episode.
intuitive with people when I
Uh-huh.
see them in audiences. And if you even see me on stage, I will say something to people, and I'm like, he scares. Like, I will say something out loud to an audience of
Right.
this
Yeah.
because I have this intuition, and I knew it as a kid. I mean, what I saw is what I saw. I told my parents; they didn't believe me. I think in
Right.
this day and age, parents would run.
Well,
to
I think
hear
it's a
something.
mistake when parents say to little kids, "Go give so and so a hug." When when the child doesn't really know that person, I think that's a mistake.
Well, they don't
because
do that anymore,
Well,
do they?
people still do that, and I think you should not make your kid comfortable.
We
to
were
be
in
hugging
plastic
on.
until I was
Yeah,
10.
yeah.
So
All right, so your second story, dude.
Well, hold on really quick. I just want to say I had a friend as a kid, and his dad was a clown. And we used to like to call him, and if he wasn't there, the answer machine would pick up, and it would say, "Hi, I'm Jingles the Clown. I'm out feeding the lions and tigers right now, and I can't come to the phone, but leave me a message." So we would call all the time just to hear that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not as
That's-
fun.
Oh,
But he didn't get arrested because he had a
Liquor license.
Well, Oklahoma, you know. Are you all three from Oklahoma?
No, I'm from North Carolina and Florida.
Same thing.
All right, so
I
your
was
story,
thinking
your
same
second
thing.
story, second story.
I'm a Hollywood snob. Okay, I would going back and forth on which story. Okay, so I don't know if you also know this. I toured for around 20 years, headlining comedy clubs. Around 5 years probably as a middle and 20 years as a headliner. And
But
during,
never as a bottom.
why are you obsessed with this?
Because bottoms are funny.
They're
Oh,
they're
I have no idea. I don't know a funny bottom. Um,
I'm a bottom.
Oh, okay. Okay, and I'm usually
We're all
talking about
versatile,
there's
aren't we?
all these girls talking about sex. It just seems weird. And then there's the straight. Are you straight?
Yes.
What's your name?
Oh, we got so
Andrew.
deep here.
And Andrew keeps.
I really didn't even.
No, and like
Yes,
Andrew's balls
I'm
dropped
totally
as he
straight.
answered that.
Yes,
Oh, I
totally.
love straight people.
No, yeah. I am.
All right, so tell your
So
story.
I was doing my second coming out tour. I used to have names for my shows. The first tour was called the Coming Out Tour. The second one was called the I'm Out Jealous Tour, because Jealous used to be a tagline. I had a dance song out
Yeah.
too. You know my dance song called I'm Jason Stuart. Jealous. I had a dance song out, and it was in the clubs for a very short time. It didn't do that really well.
Because they didn't know you were an Oscar nominee. They would have done better. Kept that shit too tight.
I could there. They could care less. I mean, so I was headlining the Funny Bones. I really was very, very. That probably was the biggest club. I did the Funny Bones. I did the Comedy Zones. I did the Improvs, and I can't even remember some of the other names. And I was headlining. It was my second tour, and I remember I was doing it in Des Moines, Iowa. and I was selling out. I was doing really, really well. And the club owner would not pick me up until like 15 minutes before I went on. And we're not talking, for those at home who don't know, there's usually an opening act that would do 20 minutes, and then the middle would do 30, and the headliner would do 45 to an hour. So he would pick me up 15 minutes into the middle of the act. It drove me crazy. I wanted to see the room. In those days, I
Right, that would drive me crazy too.
they should pick you up
wanna
before the
see
show.
So he hung up on
me.
me. And I called. It was the third night, and he would not. I said, I said, this is really weird. I said, what is going on? And he said, I'll pick you up when I'm ready. And he slammed the phone down on me. And I just, oh God, I just got so nervous.
Where was this at?
This was in Des Moines, Iowa. And so we did. I think it was Friday night, because in those days you would do Wednesday to. I would do 8 shows, and this is a guy I tried to get work from. I just tried and tried and tried. It didn't matter what I did. He was really hard. And then this really big, heavy set guy from Paul, Indiana.
Oh.
What's Indiana? I can't remember. Anyway, Indiana is this guy named Paul, and he headlined me at his club. And I remember sending him the posters, and I got there. The posters in the corner of the room. He was like 400 pounds, this guy. And I said, why didn't you put the posters up in the gay bar? He says, I don't want anybody else to think that I was gay and hit on me. I said, well, look, you look like a piece of furniture. No one's going to hit on you. This is before the Bears. Anyway, so I'm doing my show. We had 4 sold-out shows Friday and Saturday night. I got off stage. They picked me up again 15 minutes before I'm going on Sunday night to do the last show, and the club was closed completely. And I said, what's going on? And they had a police guy there that was a friend of theirs. They escorted me out. He gave me a prorated check, and he fired me.
Why?
Because I was gay. And because I was on a Christian radio show, which I did not know was a Christian radio show. And to this day, I still don't know what I said. And because I asked to be picked up early. And he said that I was a problem, and he fired me.
What year was this?
Wow.
Let's see, 83, maybe 86. I mean 96 rather, 96.
Yeah. In 96?
Oh, I've been fired a couple times for being gay.
We all.
They would
Oh,
rather
not for that.
even
I've
the
been
gay
fired
guys,
plenty
even
of
some of the
times.
gay guys would rather hire the straight women than us sometimes because they just are so. There's a thing about Harvey Milk said it: a gay man with power, ooh, that's dangerous. And to put a man in a powerful position and not have you be the butt of the joke always, the butt of the joke, is what what my career was about. And you had to be able to be funny, and be able to be the butt of the joke, and be powerful at the same time. Because if you didn't get the straight boy money, and you weren't treated the same.
Right. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Jason. I'm sorry to hear that. If that happened to you.
Yeah, way to bring it down from Killer Clowns.
Yeah, really.
No, I mean, that's.
It is horrible.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Well, I've been hired. Well, I was fired a couple times. I can give you other stories too.
Yeah. Well, we've all been fired for various reasons.
Yeah,
but
well,
to get fired for that is bullshit.
Oh, I've been fired for gay. I think 4 or 5
that's
times.
Terrible.
I once got fired before I got there.
Do you have any questions, Jessica?
that was in Iowa?
Des Moines, Iowa. Yeah, I get Iowa mixed up with other things. I don't know. All
Idaho.
Other states that don't matter.
No, they all matter. It's just, when I went to public school in Los Angeles. I wore a tie-dye shirt. I danced in a circle. They gave me the diploma. I was this close to being special needs as a kid. I was so stupid. I mean, I grew up in California. You didn't have to know anything here. Everything was free to be you and me. They saw that Marlo Thomas special, and everybody just thought you didn't have to be educated. We didn't even have math after 10th grade. It's like, it was just...
Well, that is everyone our age, probably everywhere in this country.
In the 70s, yeah.
By the way, yeah.
It was just a down...
Education for a lot of people
it was just
wasn't
I didn't
all.
educate myself. I read a lot, and I had to read. I still am the worst speller that ever lived. But
Me too.
oh yeah. But I mean,
All right. So, any questions, Jessica?
Do you think did you feel like when you were there that he was just looking or nitpicking you for anything, like to
you're
get
acting
rid of
like you're acting like they all didn't do that. They all did that.
So you were just used to that.
Oh
So you
yeah,
were
they were
like,
always
this
looking
is
for a
just
reason not to
normal.
bring me back. Yeah, and if you she knows this. The 3 things you have to have: first, you have to be funny. Then you have to do the time. Then you have to sell the tickets. Those are the 3 things you have to do. And you have to be a white guy with a penis, and everybody else is treated differently. The rest of us are what we used to call as circus people. That would be women, black people, anybody of color, anybody that wasn't, something. You had to sell out, and you had to be better than everybody else, and that's the way it was. Especially if you wanted that straight boy money.
I want straight boy money.
Yeah, that was like the big one.
Yeah. I have conflicted feelings about that. In a sense of, if that happened, I'm very sorry that did happen. But just, I can understand in one part of it, having been a headliner in the late 80s and starting to do all that kind of stuff in early 90s,
You did it
that
before
it was tough in a lot of ways, where I got a lot of shit from comedians, and club owners. I got a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And you had to fucking bring it in order to prove yourself more so than
And
a
then
lot
you
of the
work with
white
other
guys that
people.
were
When
working.
you start to
for
work
sure.
with those other guys in the clubs in LA, and you thought, oh my God.
Right. But just as much equally, I also got treated incredibly fairly. So there's not always.
Yeah, but you had a big agency behind you.
No, that's not necessarily
you?
true. No,
Oh, I
not
thought you
all
had
the time. That's not necessarily
Because
true.
that's another way to get money if you have a big agency.
Yeah, that wasn't necessarily true. But
they'll scare
that's
them.
an interesting story. That's an interesting story. Do you have any questions for Shawn?
Well, Shawn, during the first story, she barely looked up.
Yeah, she was very more, you could tell, impassioned by that second story about
She
clowns.
was about Tipsy. But then again,
It's
why
Tippy.
would you?
Tippy, the murdering
Tippy!
clown. Get it right.
I think
'cause
that
Tipsy
I'm-
is the
I'm
drunk clown that licked the liquor store. Mine was Tippy, the murdering clown, and I was right.
I
I
think
hope
I
to
think
God
I
that was his actual name.
I
It just
think-
gives it away. It's
I
Tippy
think
the
you're
murdering
lying about
clown.
Tippy.
You have
Because you know
what?
why? Because you were thinking about it. Whereas the other story, you weren't thinking about it, you just knew it.
But
That's-
I'm not sure that you had Tippy over for Yom Kippur.
Hanukkah, and those are that's different.
This woman has a
One is a
holiday
high
dinner every
fucking holy day that no one asks anyone to come over for because you're in shul starving. And the other one is Hanukkah.
and you can't
where
even
my
sit on
mom
a
would
chair. They make you sit on the floor.
My mom
on a
made
bench.
latkes for fucking Tippy. I
Say what?
swear.
In
I
Oklahoma.
can't make this
That
up.
has to be one of the most fucked up stories that anyone's ever
bad.
said. Yeah. But I'm gonna give
Yeah,
you
but
that.
I
I'm gonna
bet it
give you
happened,
that.
but not to her. Maybe it's someone
Yeah,
else's
maybe
story.
it's-
We were all hoping maybe I could be one of the girls at the fair. No.
Maybe
we
you
were
knew a
hoping we could have
clown.
been one of the girls at the fair. I love that.
All right, so let's recap for the audience. So Shawn is telling a story. Her first story is about firing a mortar shell in Afghanistan, and instead of pulling the correct lever, she pulled up the barrel and it shot off into the air.
Almost
No,
shot.
almost shot
Almost
up,
shot up.
into the air for and then everybody said, "You can't do that," and they saved you guys from
Yeah.
from you killing a bunch of special rangers, sexy
Yes.
as fuck
Oh,
guys.
before you
thank
go on,
God.
also,
No.
I
Hold
just-
on.
okay, okay.
And her second story was about Tippy the clown, that she saw the knife in his bag, and that she told her parents they didn't believe her, and they invited Tippy the clown in clown makeup, which is suspicious, to come to
That's so
Hanukkah. To come to Hanukkah, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then
Just
Jason.
a
oh, hold
preface-
on.
just a
All right,
preface.
One second.
Because I want to
And
preface.
no,
okay.
hold on. And then Jason, I know, but we have a format. And
Okay.
then Jason told the story about winning an
No,
Oscar.
nominated, not winning.
Oh, nominated for.
I also have two other awards. I have a Civil Rights Award
You just
from the Jose
fucking
Serra,
relax over there.
and I also
So-
have a Sheep Persist Award.
God damn it, Jason. So Jason, his first story was about being nominated for an Oscar when he was 9 years old in the movie They Shoot Horses. 10 years old
I
in the
did it when I was
movie
9.
They Shoot Horses. And then also the second story was getting fired for being gay in Des Moines, Iowa
At the
after a
Funny-
sold-out show at
Funny
the
Bones.
at the Funny Bone.
4 sold-out shows.
Force.
And I'll be honest, I've been nominated for around 15 other awards.
Okay. I went Star Search, bitch. I feel ya.
I lost it.
Hey, I picked out a killer clown at age 6.
Yeah,
so.
you are the winner.
I
You are
lost
the
to
winner.
Martin Lawrence on Star Search and stamped my foot and walked off.
Wow.
Oh, you had a hissy fit? That's so
Oh,
cute.
I thought at the time it was really, really funny. But
Way to set the stereotype, Jason.
And that was before he came out.
yes.
I stomped my foot and said, this is bullshit.
Well, you know why? Because Lily Tomlin did
But
the
I'm
same
not
thing at
gay.
the Oscars when she lost.
Oh,
Remember when
okay.
she was up for Nashville? She wore the prom dress. Nobody remembers. But she wore a prom dress and she stamped her foot. She went like this and she walked off when she lost the Oscar to Lee Grant for Shampoo.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start with Shawn. Shawn, God, I really want to believe that second story because you were so impassioned by that.
Tippy.
Tippy, the murdering clown
It's
that
hard. I
I
don't
just
really
don't
ever
believe it.
talk about
But
that. So it's
but the
like,
clown makeup at Hanukkah dinner, like if you're not, I
Right.
can't.
How did your parents
Yeah.
get to know Tippy? Were they
Yeah.
all hanging out at the bar and he's still in makeup?
Tippy, I had
What
Did you
are
go to your
doing?
mother's
Another day of
Maybelline
blowing
there?
up balloons.
With the
I
lights
had
on the side.
2 older sisters. Tippy was doing their parties for years before I came along.
Oh, I thought you said an older brother
Yeah,
and
but
an
you would-
older
I have a
sister.
brother
Okay.
and 2 sisters.
You would have
Okay.
Is that
thought-
true or
was
is that a
like the
lie?
third.
I don't
You would
know.
have thought your parents would have gotten to know Tippy outside of makeup after
They
all
know
these
Tippy
years.
Honey, let
out
this
of
go. We
makeup.
already know your feeling about
Tippy
it. Let it go.
kept-
I mean, she's like holding on to this. We got it.
Tippy always stayed in makeup. And maybe that's because he didn't want to break the whole idea for kids. I don't. Listen, he murdered 2 girls. Maybe that's why he stayed in makeup, so nobody could figure out why Tippy.
Maybe it was just the clown
who
style.
Tippy really
you know?
was.
Maybe he
Okay.
had acne. We don't
I
know.
think that this happened to one of your sisters about the knife, but Tippy never killed anyone. That's what I think. So I'm going to say your second story, even though you were completely impassioned about Tippy, the killer clown.
Good story.
I think that
I'm going to say the first story is true,
True.
about the mortar, and the second story about Tippy is false, but it happened to your sister. But nothing bad happened. Go, Jessica. Sorry.
I'm going to agree with Felicia,
Oh my God.
but I don't. I think that I think you saw maybe Tippy have a knife or something like that, or Tippy actually probably killed people. Maybe that was a different clown that you were putting on your.
was
So
Maybe it was a
This
knife
could be
that turned
Stabby the
into
clown.
flowers
True,
or
we're
something.
like-
Yeah.
I don't know you that well, but I could think to me that the idea of the army thing, and you would go, yeah, let's do this. This is going to be fun. I'm going to do something. You seem like an adventurous person.
Right.
And
And she couldn't remember the guy's name, even though she almost killed all of them.
Yeah, but that's comedians. We can't remember anything but our act. I mean, that's what's so sad about us.
Paul.
Isn't it true?
That's all we knew, Paul.
Okay, what about you, Andrew? What are your
Not
thoughts?
Paul, Pete.
Pete.
I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. Pete something. It's embarrassing.
I'm going to say that Tippy is a lie, and the
So you
other
agree
one.
with
I think I think the military one's true because I think it doesn't. Anyone that has never been in the military could accidentally hit the wrong fucking thing.
Right.
That seems like such an easy thing to happen. And a killer clown, I feel like I would have heard about that also being from Oklahoma.
So what is the answer? What is the answer?
You guys are all correct.
Yes, yes.
There was no Tippy ever. There was Ho-Ho the clown.
I think I remember hearing about that.
Did you date him?
Ho-Ho the clown, but Ho-Ho the clown was never a killer. He was a lovely clown that would come to all our birthday parties. We did have him over for fucking Hanukkah with his makeup.
With his makeup?
Yes.
Really?
Wow.
Ho-Ho was
and
a
did he have
very-
a crescent on his cheek?
No.
You
he
made that
didn't.
up.
I made the
Oh. See,
crescent
See, that's
up.
what you know what I mean? Because you look like you. There was a part of you in this story, and I'm watching you very, very closely. And the other story, you told it. I know this. I know this. I know this. And then you went, and you were, there was a part of you were thinking. I could see your eyes thinking. You know, I could see that moment. She's thinking, okay, I'm adding this. I should.
But Ho-Ho, he did have this imaginary, like, wire and harness of a dog. Like, he had imaginary dog that he would.
Right.
So
Oh,
that
yeah.
was always a little weird. But he was this loving, sweet clown. And he
As
was
far as
really,
we all know.
he was really nice. And yes,
All
and
right.
he did pass away. And no, I did not. I don't really have a fear. My best friend has a fear of clows.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people do.
Wow, I
Yeah,
had
they
a boyfriend who had a fear of clowns because he
Oh, your
came
thing went off.
from. That's okay. He came from Cuba,
Yeah.
and when he was a little kid, and he had some weird party thing with some clown in Cuba, and he could not take clowns. Yeah, he did
It's
not
a
like
thing.
that
But
at
there
all.
were 2 girls who did go to the state fair one year. They were about, I would say they were about 15. And they did end
So
up.
you were
do you
pu-
remember?
She was
he
pulling,
was not born
She was
yet.
pulling from things. I
But
could
he
tell- yeah.
was. But they did go to state fair, and they talked to some guy who asked to help them set up his booth, and then they never were heard from again. And they were found in a trunk.
Oh.
And but it was like the news for so long. So
And they
parents didn't let you go to the state fair
Oh,
anymore, and
right.
it was just they were just taken and done.
2 good stories.
Yeah.
Really
All
good.
right, Sean. All
My
right,
mother, my
Very
mother
good.
would
your
say,
turn.
you know what my mother would say? What do you need to go to the fair for? What do you need to do that for? It's dirty. It's dirty everywhere. Who are those
Jeez.
people?
She
Kidding, my
wasn't
parents were
wrong.
like, "Get out of here, go to the fair. Hopefully, you meet the guy who will abduct you."
So, what about your stories? Do you have any questions about Jason's stories?
I
And
don't think
Sean,
I-
you can ask questions too.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you remember what you wore to
To
the?
the
Yeah.
Oscars? Oh, God, yeah. I wore a chocolate brown suit with a yellow, a pale yellow shirt and a little bow tie.
I really,
A tiny bow tie.
I don't.
Well,
Was
a little,
it
you know.
tiny?
You know what I mean?
I don't want to 100% be this guy, but even if this is a lie, for a gay man to come up with an outfit on the fly,
What was the, of the
It was
time?
1969, and that was of the
He
time.
was 10 years old.
He was 10 years old.
no, I mean like right now, like
Right,
for him to
okay.
just like come up
So
with
what
a
are, you,
suit.
what are your thoughts? So you think the first one is a lie?
No. I'm just saying if it was, that's
Right.
not a.
So which one do you think is a lie?
It's this one in the firing.
I think he
I-
has been fired for being gay. Maybe this particular story is not true.
Right. I want to say maybe the getting fired is the true story. Unfortunately, I don't want it to be, but as is the Times. Yeah, and then maybe the Oscar is gay or is gay. Fuck, I can't even speak. It's a lie.
Jason, we know what he's thinking when he looks at you. Gay, gay, gay,
Right,
gay.
ladies
Now
and
get
gentlemen,
another word out.
yeah.
Not
This is
gay.
my,
Don't say it.
He's
Oh,
not
I
thinking
said it.
anything
Fun
about
doing the
that's
last
problem.
episode
No,
ever
gay,
of
gay,
the
gay,
Liars
gay,
Club.
gay, gay,
Do
gay,
you
gay,
think he's
gay,
really
gay,
thinking
gay,
about
I
gay.
am,
Oscars. Gay, 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 gay. False. Gay, 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 gay.
You really think he's thinking about me? God, I wish
It
someone
was
was
fun
thinking
doing
about
this
me.
last episode with you guys. Like it was so much fun. Thank you for letting me do it.
I
32
want
episodes.
gay, 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 gay.
I feel like such a dickhead now.
So you don't believe it's true, and you believe the other one is
I think that the Oscar is a lie.
okay.
And what about you, Shawn?
I'm kind of on the fence because I feel like he
Yeah.
was kind of using a story.
He knows his movies.
I feel like I'm gonna say I feel like well, yeah, that was very like I don't know.
it's
I feel
hard
like
one.
that second, like I feel like you have more exciting stories than that second story, so that's why I think that second story is a lie.
Yeah,
And
that's what
I'm
I'm
gonna
saying.
say Jason went to the Oscars. 'Cause that would be fucking awesome. I want Jason to go to the Oscars just like I wanted Tippy to be a murderer.
Did you go to the Oscars alone?
No, of course not. My parents came with me.
Wait, both parents are one.
Both.
The same lady that was like, yeah, fucker. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's where I have questions because I think you can only get one ticket, right?
Oh, not when you're nominated. Jesus. And also, I was a kid.
right.
You know, they weren't going to let me go by myself. I was a kid.
Right, you
I
get at
don't
least.
know.
It
I
wasn't,
might
as
have
big,
to-
it wasn't as crazy it is now. It wasn't as crazy as.
So what do
as
you
it-
think, Jessica?
I'm gonna say I think you were nominated. I'm gonna agree with Shawn. I think you were nominated.
So that's a no.
I think you went.
Two
I think
yeses.
you wore a little
and
bow
you're
tie.
The, you're the tiebreaker.
And
But he does know. But just know he does know. Like he knows his movies, and
Can
it
you
was really good.
Yeah.
To
Right.
insert that
What was your
story.
line in that movie?
What was my
What-
line when I said
What was your line?
don't? I'm crying. I said don't and crying.
Can you do that for
Are
us?
you seriously?
I'm totally fucking
Jesus
serious.
Christ.
Everyone, shh.
I think I was just crying like this. Don't. You know, like I don't. I mean, you know, I don't know. My voice was so. You know, I don't know. That's all I did in that scene.
And then they go gay.
No, I didn't seem that gay when I was a kid.
all right, that's a gay. I mean rap.
I'm gonna a turkey wrap, a turkey
In
gay
those
wrap.
days, you could be a little more feminine, honestly, and they wouldn't think that because that was when Paul Lynn was actually
Oh,
playing a
very
dad,
true, yeah.
and he had played a dad on a TV
Paul
show.
Lynn.
And you know, his claim to fame was being the father in Bye Bye Birdie. So everything everybody says about him, it's not as
Call
you know,
this gay trivia right now.
yeah.
What's going on?
Not until Bewitched or
All right,
I called Gay Witched.
I'm going to say that God, I really want the Oscar thing to be true, just so I could learn something more about you. But
Go with
I
your
do
heart.
believe that you've been fired for being gay because I knew you back in the day, and that must have been people in Iowa must have been like, "What the fuck?"
No, the audience was great. The audiences are almost, I'd say 90% of the time, the audiences have been great across
Oh
the
no,
country.
I'm sure.
It's usually the club
But
people
still,
and the other comics.
yeah.
who
But still,
bore you.
God, that's a toughie. But I'm gonna say the second story is true, and you did not get nominated for an Oscar.
She's going with her heart.
Yeah, what is it?
You're right, I wasn't nominated.
Ah!
But I want to tell you, the reason I told the
You
story so
son
well
of a bitch.
is I used to tell this
They
story.
shoot
daydream.
horses.
I used to tell this story to people all the time when I was a kid. I told this story all the time.
That you were nominated?
Oh yeah, I
That you
told
played the one-liner, don't
no,
kid,
3
cry.
scenes.
I
Three
mean, I would aim
scenes.
higher.
You know, I know because I wanted it to seem real. I used to tell people also on airplanes that I was Tom Hulse because I used to have the same hairstyle as him, though I was like 5 inches
Who's
taller.
Tom
than-
Hulse?
From
Gay trivia,
Amadeus.
you better.
Amadeus.
Amadeus.
The movie
No,
Amadeus.
no, not
Five,
Just say gay. Let's
But that
just
was
yell out gay.
that was one of the worst of probably one of 10 different things that happened.
I'm very
for-
sorry that happened to
for,
you. Yeah.
that happened. Once it happened on a sitcom. It happened on a sitcom. I won't say the name of it. That Sarah Rule starred on. I forgot the name of it already. But they decided they didn't want the character to be gay,
Right.
and I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Well, they thought you couldn't play gay? Like,
No,
play
they decided
straight?
they didn't want the character to be gay. They decided, and Will Sasso replaced me. Taylor Negron and I replaced each other on 2 different movies. I replaced him on one movie, and he replaced me on a movie that I was fired from. But before he was already on it. I wasn't on it when I did it. So people would do things like this all the time.
Yeah, I'm very
Right.
sorry that happened to you because that
Oh, you're
must have
so
been
sweet.
no,
Yeah.
because that must have just because when back in the day when you were out on the road and terrible things would happen to you, it's very scary and lonely because it's not like everyone had a million cell
It wasn't
phones.
as bad. The worst thing is
all
the
that
worst
kinda
thing it
stuff.
wasn't is it was. Oh yeah, I was like stuck there.
I
So-
know that's what was.
it-
That's why I feel.
that was-
I feel
I-
terrible
so-
no matter what. But
So I went back to the
must
hotel
have
room
been
and I called
scary.
the psychic network and I charged it to them.
oh, you did.
Yeah. I was so upset.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, you guys have been tremendous guests. Where can people follow you, and what do you guys have that you want to share with others out in podcast land?
Oh, I have 2 movies coming out next year. One is called Abducted, and it's a thriller, action thriller, and I play a detective. It's my first time playing a detective in a movie. The pretty girl who's the head detective, I play her cohort, and I walk around and I say things like, yeah, this isn't right. I don't.
You say, don't!
No, not. No. I just in this movie I just pretended I was my brother. I play this detective who's always just slightly irritated all the time. And I have probably around 8 scenes in this movie. And then I have another movie coming out called Immortal, and I have one really big scene. I play a private investigator that deals with spyware with Sam Levine from Freaks and Geeks and Inglourious Bastards, and also what's his name from Homeland?
Mandy
Dylan Baker.
Dylan
Dylan Baker, who I just think is a brilliant character actor on that. And I have my CD, my DVD, or my stand-up special that was on Here TV is being reissued by Here TV December 7th, and I'm dropping too. But
Wonderful.
yeah,
wonderful.
so that's
Nice.
yeah. So they're doing a reissue.
And where
for
can people follow you?
JasonStuart.com, STUART.
Wonderful, wonderful. And what about you, Shawn?
I'll be touring with Tippy the Clown.
Killing it all over
And
the
he's
United
not wearing his
States.
makeup. It's a whole thing she's doing.
No, Half Moon Crescent. You can see me. My comedy special is called Stretch It Out. It's on Amazon, iTunes, On Demand, Xbox, Google Play, Vimeo. Lots of platforms for that. And I also have an album of it as well. So if you just want to listen, you don't care to stare at my face, I don't blame you. So I have that, and then my website is hahachick, HAHACHICK.com, so you can see where I'll be performing. And right now I'm just touring, and I will be in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, and
Oh, nice.
in many different places. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
Thank you guys
that's it.
so much
Thank
for
you
coming
for
here.
doing this.
So
thank
much
you
fun.
guys for
doing
having
the
me. This was a
podcast.
lot of
and
fun.
Andrew, is there
So
anything
good.
you want to say?
Gay.
Ah!
No.
She's much gayer than I am. She knows more. She's more involved. She has a camera and snapshots and a diary.
And lots of dick pics.
Yeah,
lots
all
dick
of them.
pics.
All of them. I don't know. She just,
Folks, thank you for listening. We really, really appreciate it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at theliarsclub1@gmail.com. You can
Is there a
also,
Liars Club? Nothing?
apparently, that's why I had to do with the one. Exactly.
Jeez.
Also, we are on Stitcher, Spotify. We'll be on SoundCloud soon, CastBox, Laughable, anywhere, iTunes. Please leave us a rate, a subscribe, a review, all that fun stuff. And we have a live show coming up at the Dojo of Comedy on Sunset here in Hollywood on December 19th. So
Where is that?
it's right down it's at
The Sycamore
Sycamore
Tavern.
Tavern over
Yeah.
on Sunset and
Oh,
Sycamore.
wow. How cool.
That's
And
gonna
2
be
more
fun.
dates in
January.
January.
Yes.
January, February.
I
at
don't
the Ice
remember.
House.
Yeah, look
Those
at
are the
those.
Ice House. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
I
one of the
d- I-
best clubs to see a show at. It's so great.
I don't know the specific dates on that, but either way, and also follow me everywhere at one Andrew Rose.
And please check out Andrew's book that he has out on Amazon right now. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wrote a joke a day for a year. It's all facts, just with a punchline, and it's on sale on Amazon.com. Go to my website, arosecomedy.com, and it'll have a link to the Amazon page. But if you want to grab one, I'd greatly appreciate it. Perfect stocking stuffer. So, yeah.
It's awesome.
Awesome. All right, so I've been Felicia Michaels.
I'm Jessica Wellington, and you've been lied to.
Hello, ladies and gentle sirs. This is Andrew Rose, the producer of the Liars Club. I just wanted you lovely folks to follow our awesome hosts, and that would be Jessica Wellington and Felicia Michaels, and you can follow them on Twitter at Felicia Michaels, Felicia, and Jess Wellington 2. That is the number 2. Yeah.